How to request a job shadow. A job shadow is an opportunity to follow and observe a worker while they perform their assigned duties. During this observation time, which might be a few hours, a full workday, or even several days, you will have time to ask questions to help you further understand what you see and hear. It is a great way to learn about the daily, ordinary experiences found in a specific occupation or job, and for you to imagine yourself in the role of the worker to see if the occupation is something you might like to do. This 10-minute video will briefly cover how to choose where you want to job shadow and how you ask someone to let you shadow them. Before we begin, it will be helpful to define a few terms. The words job, occupation, and career are often used interchangeably, but that can be confusing. For our purposes, we will define them this way. A common way that people use the word job is to talk about something that you do for money. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your professional interest, and oftentimes a person doesn't feel a strong attraction for the work they do. Many would say that the job isn't something they would want to do as a lifetime of work, and they don't define themselves by the jobs that they hold. For example, a college student might introduce themselves to someone they don't know by saying, "I am a college student," but not, "I am a student assistant in the biology department." If you think about your part-time jobs, you know that the positions do not usually require much education, and you can often find a job without having much experience. An occupation is someone's principal work, specifically to earn a living, as opposed to earning extra money. A person's occupation depends on the amount of education they have completed, is often closely tied to a person's identity, and something that they find fulfilling to do. It is now used interchangeably with profession because so many occupations require special training. However, you will still hear people make the distinction between a profession and other occupations, which requires advanced education, often includes the code of conduct, and is seen as prestigious. A career is an occupation or a series of occupations that a person experiences which are part of their professional goals and opportunities for advancement, either within the same occupation or by changing occupations. It is more accurate to use career in terms of career hopes. What do you hope to accomplish during your working life? And career paths, how you get to where you are at different stages of your work life. So, although this video is entitled Job Shadowing, we are really talking about occupation shadowing. However, that isn't the term that is commonly heard, so we will continue to use the term job shadow. Another term you will hear is industry, which is used to organize occupations by the type of work done or produced. Some industries include healthcare, everything from surgeon to mental health counselor, government, local, state, or federal employment, manufacturing, or making products that other people use, arts, entertainment, scientific, and technical utilities, which includes designing, building, and maintaining our power and water facilities. Before you ask a professional if you can follow them at work, you have a little homework to do. Shadowing someone in the workplace is one of the best ways to get a real feel for an occupation, but researching an occupation before you shadow is something you can and should do to learn the basics about what a person does. There are many ways for you to learn the basics about an occupation. ONET is a database of job titles that you can search and read what someone does, the technology that they use, the skills and education that are required, how much the occupation is in demand, and a ballpark figure on what you would be paid. At the bottom of the page describing the occupation, you will find links to other sources of information, including a list of professional websites for that occupation. Professional websites are maintained by organizations made up by people in that occupation. These organizations are meant to support professionals by providing additional training, forums to discuss their work, job boards, and more. These job boards are a good place for you to get an idea of what kinds of positions are available for someone in a specific occupation. By reading through a description that sounds interesting, you can get an idea of what you would have to do if you were to accept that position. You can also contact someone in an occupation that interests you and ask to set up a time to conduct an informational interview. You ask the questions that will help you decide if the occupation is one that might work for you. The 4-year guide has a workbook that will walk you through using O-Net and setting up an informational interview. Or you can make an appointment with a staff member in Career Services to learn more about O-Net and informational interviewing. Once you have some basic information about occupations, talk to family, friends, a trusted person, an Emporia State career counselor or academic advisor, and professors about the different occupations you have researched as well as what career hopes you have. Think about how you make big decisions, such as when you decided to go to college or attend Emporia State University, and use the same decision-making style in evaluating the careers that interest you. If you need help defining your decision-making style, you can meet with a career counselor or use the resources in your workbook. Narrow your list of occupations down to 2 or 3. There are many aspects about the occupations that you can consider when reducing your list to 2 or 3, such as the work environment. Will you be inside or outside, at a desk most of the day, or moving around? Do you work often with people or alone? Are you helping people directly by working with them, such as teaching, providing community services, nursing? Or indirectly by working with data that helps people, such as tax accounting, interpreting medical tests? Is the work consistent with your values? If you are concerned about the environment, is this occupation involved in improving the environment, or does it generate more problems for the environment? If you want a job that is prestigious and has a large income, will the jobs that interest you meet your expectations? Take a pause from the video and look at the occupation assessment worksheet found in the 4-year guide. This assessment will help you analyze different occupations of interest. Read through the case study to see how you can use the assessment to narrow your search. Once you have identified occupations for your job shadowing, you need to find people in those professions. If you are going to look for employers on your own, begin by using Handshake to find employers in industries that interest you and locations that are easy for you to reach. You can also contact the Chamber of Commerce in Emporia or your hometown for a list of organizations that perform the work you want to observe. Later on in this video, we'll walk you through how you reach out to these organizations. Your connection to a potential job shadow could include family friends, coworkers, job supervisors, professional acquaintances such as your physician, accountant, professors, or someone from your high school. If these people aren't in the occupations you want to shadow, do they know someone that is? This is how networking works, and it is not too soon to begin building a network that can help you and that you can help in return. Asking to shadow someone isn't as hard as it might seem, but you do need to be prepared and ask in a professional way. Number 1, speak or write clearly, use proper grammar, and avoid slang or shortcuts typically used when texting. Number 2, be sure to introduce yourself and share why you want to shadow someone in this occupation. 3, be clear as to what you are asking, what role you would like to shadow. Number 4, make sure you give the person enough time to plan for your visit and don't wait until the last minute to ask if you can shadow. Plan on it taking a few weeks or even more before they have time to fit you in. Number 5, always thank them, even though you don't have an answer yet. At this point, you are thanking them for taking time to read or listen to your request and to consider how they can help you. 6, be sure to provide multiple ways for them to contact you. Using your student email is a good idea, as sometimes personal emails are not professional looking. Managing your career research using your ESU email is a good way to keep personal and career-related correspondence separate. You can contact employers by visiting their organizations and talking to them in person, by calling and speaking over the phone, or by sending an email. All are considered professional ways to communicate with someone. Texting is not a proper way to communicate with someone in the world of work unless you have been specifically asked to share information that way. Once you have found people to shadow, you will need to prepare ahead for your experience, which will help your job shadow day run smoothly and allow you to make the most out of the experience. Your workbook has recommended actions to take before you arrive at your job shadow location and tips that will help make the most of your experience. The easy-to-follow checklist will help ensure that you are well prepared, learn as much as possible, and leave the employer with a positive impression. In addition to learning more about an occupation, you will have added someone to your professional network.